Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a conversation with Joshua T. Berglan. I am so excited to introduce you all to Tarun. Tarun, correct?
Tarun, yes. Got it right.
You're myself saying it, but listen, I am so sincerely excited to have you on today because you have an approach to mental well-being and also even dating that is so unique and so special, and I believe that it is so needed in the world. I cannot wait to speak to you. But before we get into all of that, can you tell us, what are you grateful for today and why?
I am the luckiest person alive in this planet today.
Why is that?
And because being able to understand things the way they are, the mind, the pitfalls, and how to fix them, I don't think I even deserve it.
Wow, there is a lot to unpack there. I got to ask you something because I think about 3 months ago, I probably would have dismissed this notion that it was possible, especially in the world that we live in today, with so much confusion, so much uncertainty, so much lack of identity, so much of a lack of truth. Yet at the same time, in my own path, in my own walk, in my own journey to truth and clarity, I'm aligned with you completely in what you're saying. Because here, especially in the last few weeks, I feel like I'm seeing the world through a whole different lens and have removed myself from so much of the BS and the chaos that it's given me nothing but peace and a certainty of how we get to change the world and pass what we've learned on to others. But this isn't about me, this is about you. When did this path start for you?
So, from a reasonably early age, I realized that I was given to thinking alone. Definitely in my 20s, I remember trying to write some thoughts in a book, more like thoughts about how I thought life was and how I thought things should be. So it was an early indication that while others were busy partying and having fun and making more friends, I was more interested in sitting down with myself and thinking. So that's how it started. And I remember one particular incident. I used to be in this city called Hyderabad in India. And these are actually two cities separated by a lake in the center. And around the lake, they've built a road, which is where people hang out in the evening and things like that. So one particular day, I think it was a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, I drove down to that road in the morning. I parked my car at about 10 a.m., turned off the engine, parked it, stretched my legs, and I started thinking, because the whole point was just to sit there and think. And the next moment was when a police officer knocked on the glass. And I was a little confused because when I saw him, for a couple of seconds I could understand because it was night and this person is at my door, what's going on? And I looked at the watch and it was 9 p.m. I have no idea what happened from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. It happened only once. It never happened after that. So these were early instances of me given to deep thought. And as I moved forward in the last 15 years, it became more structured and more intense. So I started spending a lot of time just staring into blankness and understanding what am I doing, what are my actions, what am I saying, and what impact does it have on my peace of mind. Because what happens is, Joshua, life is genuinely hard. Genuinely hard. Okay? It does not come with a playbook, but it does come with a million distractions on the outside. Okay? So the point is to try and understand it like a scientist rather than blame things. If you just stay still and start looking at what's happening. What am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I about to say? What did I just say? Why did I say it? These conversations have to be internal because the mind is a trickster. If I try to have this with Joshua, then the first thing my mind is going to say is, you need to create a good impression in front of Joshua. So automatically what you say is colored. So you start to observe that there are multiple voices in your mind. There is no such thing as you. That's the first thing to understand. Because there are multiple yous inside of you. The question is, which you do you want to dominate you?
So you're suggesting in a way that we all have multiple personalities. Like the dissociative identity disorder, is it related to the same thing? Or is that term really just a made up term to describe the fact that every one of us have multiple personalities?
So I'm not using that term in a medical sense, of course, which has its own connotations.
Sure.
I'm using it. Yeah, not that. Because that's more like a mental illness, which is not what we're talking about. But what I am saying is, all of us have MPD. Because all of us have multiple voices. We may not be suffering to the extent that a patient might suffer. But you see the point. The point is, all of us have multiple voices inside our head. You could call it the voice of the head, the voice of the heart. You could call it the good voice, whatever you want to call it. But if you don't sit down and look at them and identify and differentiate them, and then go on to ask yourself, which of these voices is going to make me more peaceful? Not happy. Because happiness is tricky. I could feel happy by criticizing Joshua on Twitter tonight. Just for something.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah? Or I could feel happy by cheating on my extremely loving partner. Just this one time. The question is, do I feel peaceful?
Oh my gosh. I gotta grab my phone. I gotta read something to you and I want to ask you. Hold on just a second. It's right over here. I got a download last night, and I'm sorry to interrupt your flow, but I have to ask you about this. What would you do with it? Oh my gosh. Okay, essentially it's this. So we have, you know, they say the knowledge of good and evil was the original sin, right? That's what religious books will say. In that, having that knowledge of good and bad, when there is no good and bad, is actually the greatest flaw of mankind. Because once we hear or somebody tells us something's bad, which like in the holy books, we have no knowledge of doing evil unless if we've read this book and we've read these rules to tell us that we were wrong or to tell us that we're right. And having that power over each other allows us to be able to wrong or right people, but then depending on what your perspective is, changes right and wrong. Is that anywhere trapped into what you're talking about?
Yeah, we're on the same track.
Okay. All right.
The
Cool.
key
I
is...
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, but the key is to put these dots together in your mind to understand that our objective is not really the pursuit of happiness. It is the pursuit of peace of mind. You may know it, you may not know it, but that's what you're seeking. So
And that's-
when you say good and bad, sorry.
No, and that's where our spirit comes in, correct? To guide us, to help us discern between, is this right for me? Is this good for my body? Is this good for my soul, my purpose, my path? Is this right for me? Is that correct?
Yes and no. I'll tell you why.
Oh,
Because we again go back to, is this good for me? It sounds very poetic, doesn't it?
yes, it does.
Sounds very profound. But if you go back to practicality and say, which me? That's important. Because there is a part in me who wants to put others down. So it's good for whom? Which me? Which is why I'm distilling it down to, does it make you more peaceful?
Such